Gentlemen, welcome back to Project Squirrel. Welcome back to the shed. It's been a wee minute since you've heard from me, so I guess the big question is what have I been up to and what has the bike been up to? The answer to that is not as much as I would hope, but then that's been the theme of this whole journey really, isn't it? We've had Christmas time, we've had Queensland summer, and we've had back to travel for work, so I haven't really had a lot of time to do it. I also haven't got it road registered yet, so any rides that I have done on or might have done on it might have been south of the border in Mexico, so wouldn't count. So I'm still on the journey of getting it road registered and progressing on that slowly. One of the things I have done, something I should have done when I was rebuilding it, but I just didn't have the money at the time and thought I'd get away with it. I've gone for an alternator conversion. Now if we see down here, I actually made a video about this, but when I started to edit it for YouTube, even by my standards it was pretty rubbish, and I have low video standards. So I will try and resurrect some of that to feed into here. But basically we took off the old generator, and there's a guy called Bennett from Iron Horse Spears in the UK, amazing engineer, and he builds this alternator conversion kit. Cost a large portion of the children's inheritance, but I think they've given up by now expecting anything. But I will say that the kit was magnificently done. Everything, well, more or less everything fitted. Of course, like all things that aren't original, many things that are original, I had some issues with it. One of them was with wiring, which is probably my issue more than the kit's issue, that we got there in the end. And one of them, I'm not sure if you can see it, is the kit comes with a new, I can't see it because of my hand, new retainer bolt through there. And for whatever reason, it didn't fit. I got a funny feeling that, well, the thing's whatever old it is, 65 years old, it's probably had things changed, and I think maybe the bolt that's in there is not original, and the thread was a little bit different. It's close, but it just did not go in. So that caused a lot of angst and cursing and swearing, and when I recover from the trauma, I might even have another go at cleaning that thread up or doing something with it. As I said, I did make a video about it, but I wasn't real happy with how that turned out. So I'll splice in what I can and hope you get a bit of a picture for what I was doing. The other thing that I want to do for road register, and this is kind of for my peace of mind as much as anything, and it doesn't need it in this state, is I want to put traffic indicators on it. Looked at a whole bunch of them. I looked at going for kind of traditional Lucas Triumph style, which is kind of in fitting with the heritage of the machine, if you like. But when I put them on it, I just didn't like them, didn't like the way they sat, and I wasn't quite sure where I'd put them, that they're going to be out of the way. So I've ended up going a modern option, and this kind of ties into the alternator conversion as well. Modern option, modern power supply. And if we come back over here, it's going to be these guys here. How are they going to fit? When I did the wiring, I did leave some, I ran an extra wire, which is now hanging off here. So for power supply, so if I can get it. Rear ones, I'm thinking I'm going to tuck in here. That should tuck in nice and tidy. And the front ones I'm going to hang off here, and that'll be going into the bolt that's holding the headlight into the nacelle. So how are we going to do that? Funny you should ask. I was lucky enough to get access to a little lathe, and even better, a guy who knows how to use it better than I do, and got two of these little blank plugs whipped up. Now they are some fancy aeroplane alloy, so they're very high strength. But they're also light, so we need to put some threads in that. These guys are, what are those guys? They're M10. They're M10 by 1.25, so it's actually a fine metric. So I actually had to go and buy a couple of M10 taps for that. Now, M10 hole is like 8.8 millimeter, not really a common size for a drill, so he's drilled this out to 8.5, so hopefully it's not going to be too tight to tap out. The other end, the bit that goes into the headlight, I took out one of the bolts, my handy thread guide, and you probably can't see that on the video. If I do that, maybe you can. But that is 26 TPI. You have to take my word for that. And 26 TPI is cycle thread. And why not have every thread known to mankind on this machine? But as luck would have it, the bolt is 516 by 26, and I just happen to have a die for 516 by 26. So without further ado, we're going to put a tap a thread on that and cut a thread on that end. So we're going to start with a tapered tap. You see down the end, it is not parallel all the way down to the end of the tap, it's actually tapered on the end. And that is so it's easier to start cutting the thread. Now, I'm going to put the phone down for a moment because I need to make sure that this thing is square when I start tapping. Once I've squared it up and got the thing started, I'll be able to pick up the phone again and do a little bit of one-handed. There we go. Right, we're now started. I'm not sure if that's going to look square through the film, but it's pretty good. So we just go forward until we feel it bind up. And again, because he's drilled it not quite as far out as what it needed to be, I can feel the alloy binding in the bottom of the thread. So I go really, really carefully here. I said a moment ago that I'm using a taper tap to start with. So once I've gone down with a taper tap, so that will cut the thread kind of 3/4 of the way down. I'll then follow it through with a plug tap, which hopefully you can see that is parallel all the way down. That will clear the thread. I've got plenty of lubricant in there. I don't have any cutting oil, which is probably what you should be using, but I would work on the theory that any lubricant is better than no lubricant. Right, so we've run down there with the taper tap. I've gone back down with the plug tap, or the bottoming tap. So really just remains, we take them out. It remains to be seen if this works. A bit of a clean up. Right, again, I'm trying to do this one-handed, so see if it's going to go. One wire down. Again, rather awkward. Where's the black wire gone? Here he goes. I'll put a little tension washer. It's got a rubber, what do you call that? Got a rubber stop there. But I'll put a tension washer in there. One of the things that you're probably thinking, the same as what I am, is how am I going to line it up to be at the right place? The answer to that is that little rubber spacer in there, the tension plug, the tension, or the flex that's in the headlight surround, and old mate Loctite. I think between all of those I can tension enough, just get enough tension to keep that pointing in the right direction and get everything tight. Okay, so that screwed on there really nicely. Even appears to be reasonably straight in the thread, which is quite a miracle in itself. We'll take them off again, and I've got to cut. I've done the female thread, I've got to cut the male thread now. Similar process, the hard part is getting it straight. This whole thing would have been a whole lot easier if I had my own little lathe, but part of this whole restoration thing that I've done is just to show that you can do an awful lot in a home garage with just some pretty basic tools. It would be really handy having a lathe, but to be honest, I've done okay without it. I'm going to have to put you down again. Well, I'm just going to get a couple of little flats cut in that alloy. So I'm going to put that in the vise, and that's pretty close to where I need to go down to anyway, thread-wise. So just put you down a minute, we'll get things started, and we'll come back. So again, same as with the when we're using the tap with the die, we want to go kind of 3/4 of a turn and back it off until you can feel when it's about right you need to back it off, and you can feel when you've cut through that swarf. I wouldn't normally be doing this one-handed, except I'm holding a camera. And really you want two hands on there to keep the thing straight. Because this alloy is reasonably soft, and this die has never cut anything before, so it's quite sharp. And I'm getting away with this. I wouldn't push my luck with a harder material, or also if it was more critical than what it is. That's cutting really well. I'm happy with that. Again, I will put you down and we'll come back when I've finished, and we'll see what it looks like. I think we're down far enough for that now. It's got to go through the cowl, through a spacer, and then go into the headlight surround. It's winding off beautifully free. Again, a good bit of clean. That is what we end up with. Not sure if you can see that or not. I think you should be able to. Super happy with how they turn out. I'll be even happier if they work. So by the power of video editing, we now have two little studs made. Screw that one into the indicator unit, feed the wires through. Pretty happy with that, how that has come out. Again, we'll look at to do now. Again, I won't be able to do this one-handed. We'll feed them through there. That will go into there, and that will screw into the light surround. There's a little spacer that goes up and behind there too, which again is about a 3-hand job with room for half a hand. That's what we're going to look like. I think that'll look pretty damn good. Okay, once again I'm going to have to put you down, and I'll be doing a bit of fiddling and swearing. You can swear along on my behalf if you like. Profanities always help progress on working on British motorcycles. Now day, goodness knows, feels like day 384 of Operation Indicator. So they're on, they're mounted, and in my view actually they look quite kind of cool. I like, they've come up alright. I'm not sure if they're going to work yet. Now, like everything I've done on this machine, it's been a bit of a learning curve. So, under Queensland law, this bike does not have to have turn signals or indicators on it. However, being a bit safety conscious, I've decided to put them on just for peace of my mind. Now, what the law does say that if you are going to put them on, then they have to be legal. So, no good putting on, I don't know, just a torch on a handlebar and calling it an indicator. That wouldn't work. So to be legal, there's height and width minimum sizes that you have to own, and I'm within those. There's also, they either have to have a flashing light to show that they're working, or they have to make an audible sound. Already had a hole on the, call it the dash, hole in the nacelle. So I thought a little flashing light would be easy. Now, I struggled to find a flasher unit that would actually control that, because all these are LED indicators I put on, and the standard ones are for like a car where you've got like a left-hand flashing light and a right-hand flashing light. And I've only got one flashing light. So I tried to be clever using a cheap flasher relay, but clever wasn't going to cut it. I ended up having to be not clever and wait a couple more weeks and get a proper one that had a power in terminal. It had a switching terminal for the well, give power to the indicator lights, and it had a separate terminal for the little indicator light. So finally got that in, put the headlight back in. Hopefully it'll be the last time I'm doing that for a while, because it's a pain. I got my little natty extension bolts, they're good. I had to put an extra washer on that one so it would tighten up just in the right spot. But that's cool. You don't even know. Now for the big test, will it work? So power on, right hand, flashy, lighty, lighty, happy. We go in the back, and the back one also. Yay! Lefty, same deal. Okay, that's that job done. Now I've got to put the seat back on, secure the tank. So what should have been about a half-day job has turned into about a month's job. Fitting the alternator and fitting indicators. I've leaned up the carburetor a little bit. I've given it about a quarter of a turn leaner, so hopefully it won't be so rich. I have got electronic ignition, which I put points in to start it because they were unknown. I'm thinking it's about time to put the electronic back in, and that might be a separate video. So get the seat on, get the tank bolted up, and that much closer to being on the road and road legal. Okay, as usual, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all those who subscribed and liked the video and followed along the journey. I do appreciate the feedback. It's great having two-way communication. Right, until next time, ride carefully. I say 5 minutes later, but about an hour later, and a bit of jiggery pokery, we're just about ready to come out. So I've loosened off the timing chain, taken the nut off the dynamo, and behind the chain you can't see, but there's a retaining bolt there. I also put a little bit of packing in the chain on the oil pump gear and the main crank gear. That will just keep the chain on the teeth and hopefully keep everything more or less in position when I take it out. As I expected, taking the carb off was a fiddly ass job, but we got there eventually. Nothing hard, just everything is tight. Everything is hard to get to, and tight as in difficult to get to rather than tight as in physically tight, it's firm. So we should now just be able to pull them out. And there we have it. There's a collection of all the bits I had to take off. And I put the battery on the charge while we're doing this, just because. Right, that is off. Next stage, we get to open up the little bag of bits, slightly off camera. I need to clean up the primary casing, or timing casing rather. I've got a new gasket for that. I'm not sure if I've got another gasket for the front of the dynamo. I'll have to go and hunt through my parts. I might have one. Put them in there for now. So the instructions are, we fit, if I can open this one-handed. So you work out where that cover's going to fit. We fit these guys in here. This little washer goes under the thread. We can fit the end cap and start feeding stuff back in. There's a couple of fuses we need to fit, and there's a new bolt for the strap. I probably should do that next. I think that's the pin and the bolt. They're actually quite hard to get to with everything in place, so it might be a good idea replacing that anyway. Okay, so I need to figure out where this is going to sit. There's a couple of washers in there somewhere too. Flat washers, here we go. So they'll fit under these studs, and they'll fit in one or two of those holes. Again, it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be impossible to do that one-handed. Figure that out, but once you get both of them in, I'll be able to put the cover on and feed the wires out. This thing's got an internal regulator, so the fancy pants electronic regulator that I'd already fitted goes, and there's a relay needs to go in its place, so that relay will be able to fit up into the old diamond regulator box. Regulator box is here. That has a electronic regulator in it, so that'll come out. There's a little bit of wiring stuff to figure out. In the meantime, I've got to take this bracket off and change the pin and change the bolt. Next job.